I think it took a lot for us to get to this position in terms of starting some demos for Dry Drunk, taking a bit of a break, and now these records are out. I've already started writing material for the next batch of wherever those tracks will go, and we've got this tour lined up. There's momentum right now, and we're going to keep it going well into next year.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com. I'm super stoked for the first time ever to be joined by the gang from Street Sects. How are you today?
Fantastic.
Doing well.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, and also Street Sects. So right off the bat, the 800-pound gorilla question is, what an interesting time, over 10 years together in a project. And we now have this double album branch off, why Street Sects as well as Street Sects now?
Basically, it was a way for us to separate the two creative impulses we had, namely one being able to just go full throttle into brutal experimental territory, which I'm sure you've heard us do with our established Street Sects project, and also be able to indulge in our more, pop fantasies, being able to do songs with choruses, hooks, more accessible rhythms, things like that, which is not something it's something that we've loosely incorporated into songs before, but nothing that we've really fully committed to. So this kind of gave us the option to be able to do both of those things without having one corrupt the other, so to speak.
Oh, I like that creatively. And, not everybody has that impulse. Some people just but throw it all against the wall like Pollock and see what jizz sticks and drips down. And I like that you have two, hey, let's do another creative outlet at the same time. Do you envision one eclipsing, no pun intended, the other at some point?
I don't think so, unless one demands more touring or some other commitment. That could be anything. Hopefully some soundtrack work on either project. Wink, wink. But we're going to balance them both. We have a rapport with our fans from this project that we've been doing for a long time, and would never want to give it up and stop that communication. So we're keeping going.
Right on. I think when you kind of build the fans' expectations over a long period of time, I think it's healthy to push them also to, hey, come with us on this, trust us to come with us on this thing. So I'm not sure what the feedback has been for y'all, but Full Color Eclipse is so fun and so full of bangers, and of course, like Dry Drunk is also like another side of a coin, like more of what we've been expecting. So I really dig both approaches. And but Full Color Eclipse for Street Sects is so much fun. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
It could also be that I'm like, my brain is. I just saw Nine Inch Nails the other day kick off the tour here in Oakland, and so my brain has been buzzing with that kind of vibe. But so good. I mean, Trent, especially, you can relate to this. Like sober Trent, this half of his career has been just stellar as a live performer, and just a beautifully built show. And I love Boys Noise. I was so pumped to see them for the first time too, or hear them more than see them from where I was. But I think that was a stylistic choice by the tour. But so much fun. And I hope you would get soundtrack work off of either of these projects. I love the music video you guys just put out for the double track. Like, I love that approach. Like, it's just so fun that, like, here's all of us at once, and these things do work together in concert, even if they're divergent, vibes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for checking it out. We haven't talked with too many people about the music because it's not out there yet, just a couple of tracks. We've definitely been seeing positive remarks on the pop stuff, and some of that is from people who like the other band, and some of it is just people checking it out. And that's the cool thing about each having its own lane, is that for whatever reason, if it doesn't speak to a former fan, they don't have to go down that route. And it's really awesome to hear you describe it as fun, because that was part of the process in making it, is that it would be a little more playful, like just step into different tones and expressions that we can't do in the other project, or we could do and have tried a little bit, but we can be totally free form with the pop project if we want to.
Right on. I love it. And let's also talk about Compulsion Records, your new record label, which is the new record label from Health, which we're huge fans of them. We interviewed the band a couple of times, seen them live a ton. love everything they do. And I feel like what a natural extension this is for the band that their motto is like 100% cum metal. Street Sects is a very good first, one of their very good first releases on their own label. And I imagine, sort of a wellspring for their own stuff. But how did and clearly you must be fans and friends. How did you guys get hooked up with this? Because I feel like the Flenser did right by y'all for a long time, and I know nobody's getting rich here in underground music, and especially heavy, challenging music for listeners. So I'm a fan of that label. They're also local to me, so I've been following them for quite a while. But how did this new deal come about with Compulsion and Health?
It came about kind of just kind of spur of the moment, last minute. We had originally planned to go and release these records with the Flenser, who we've worked with for a number of years and who we still love and are friends with. But what it really came down to is we wanted to release both of these albums simultaneously, as we had worked on them simultaneously, and that we kind of almost got the Flenser to agree to that, but they kind of got cold feet, which, as you know, is understandable in this economy and this, music marketing landscape that we're in. Trying to drop 2 records from 2 projects on the same day is a big ask for audiences to come along with, and it could be a financial risk. So they kind of wanted us to do one record first and then the other record down the road. And we were going to go ahead and do that, even though we were like severely bummed because that was just not how we envisioned releasing the project. And we've known Health for a couple of years now, since we did that collab track with them back in we released it in 2022, but we actually started working on that like a year or two before that. So we've kept in touch with them. Like, we did that tour with them right after that collab record came out, and they've hit me up on and off to do like random backup vocal stuff for their songs here and there. And so it was just like I was talking to Johnny, and I was kind of telling him where we were at with like not being able to release the two albums the way we wanted to. And he's like, hey, we might be able to help you guys out. And within like a week, he called back with their creative director, this guy Joe McKinney, who's kind of basically the guy that's running Compulsion. He's like the Compulsion president. And they said, hey, we can put out both of these albums for you at the same time. It's just kind of more of like we're not gonna do it like a bigger label where we're gonna give you guys all this PR and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of, we're gonna put the vinyl out for you, and you guys kind of got to do the rest. But you will be able to, put them out the way you want to. And so for us, it was kind of like, well, this is like, we knew we were never going to have that opportunity again. And while it was difficult to kind of not do it with the Flenser, at the same time, it's like when things line up like that, sometimes you just got to take a chance and pull the trigger. And it's been amazing. I mean, within that first week of them putting that offer on the table, they got the ball rolling. Masters were sent to the vinyl production plant. Everything was running smooth. And Johnny and, and especially I just want to give a shout out to, Joe McKinney, the guy who's working with Health on this Compulsion label. Like, he's just been communicative and helping us like get everything, and like really just kind of helping us level up ourselves as far as being organized and navigating how to market this stuff on a daily basis. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer to say, it happened. It happened like at the 0 hour, because we were just getting ready to sign that next contract with the Flenser. Like, we were going to sign up that next week or whatever. So if we had done that, it would have been too late. But, things worked out the way they did, and everything's been smooth sailing.
Well, you get very few chances at creative freedom in this business. And also shout out to Hector and the team over at Chromatic PR. We worked with them a lot. They connected us with
cool.
Health back in the day. So again, just burning the midnight oil, burning the weekend oil. And much appreciated to get to talk to you today. And super exciting because, again, you don't get a lot of chances to reinvent yourself in this day and age. I always laugh at things like, the Metal Archives, the very serious guys that do this on the internet, who I rely on as a journalist, but also like they don't count much like industrial metal or danceable anything, or, very, and hardcore also, just like they don't consider it a genre of metal, which is weird to me, but I've always considered you guys heavy and adjacent, and I love the collabs actually, and I'm hoping for more of them in the future, because some of my favorite stuff from you is like the Portrayal of Guilt collab or Reverend Kristen Hayter when she was Lingua Ignota. I was a huge fan of that stuff too. So, and of course, Health. So I hope this is just the beginning of a very a continued creative run for you guys.
I think so. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it took a lot for us to get to this position in terms of starting some demos for Dry Drunk, taking a bit of a break. And now these records are out. I've already started writing material for the next batch of wherever those tracks will go. And we've got this tour lined up. I mean, everything, there's momentum right now, and we're going to keep it going well into next year.
Right on. What a killer tour. This will probably come out while you're in the midst of that tour, but I hope we can catch it in one of these cities, either myself personally or somebody on the team, whichever areas you're hitting. Big King Yosef fan here.
He's awesome. He's great. Yeah,
I saw King Yosef open for Health, which was wild, and that tour was insane. And also Converge. So there's your two poles.
Oh, cool.
For this music. I feel like it's music that I always felt like you guys had that kind of appeal to all kinds of different fans of music. Do you feel? I don't have a sense anymore that Austin has like a scene like it used to have. I know there are cool bands from there and a lot of cool labels and cool businesses and things, but I don't have a sense that there's a preponderance of these kind of bands for you guys to be sort of team up with. So it's good that you can get yourself booked on national gigs and things like this and festivals.
Oh, definitely. When we started the band, and for a few years after that, there was a thriving electronic and noise electronic scene. We threw some house shows and had people roll through. We would book shows with some of these acts, and it was excellent. It might still be happening. I don't hear much about it. There was a pretty extensive house show vibe at that time, which honestly were some of the best. But right now, other than the smaller festivals that bring in experimental heavy bands, I mean, there's a metal scene here for sure, but it's a type that would totally exclude us. I don't think it has anything to do with any blend of electronic stuff at all.
It's such a bummer because some of my favorite bands just find a way to paint with the whole crayon box,
Yeah.
Color in out of the lines or in the lines, but with all the colors. And I just feel like that's sad. I know Levitation is sort of ramping up more metal than the last couple of editions. So I saw some of the posters.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
So who knows? We'll see what happens. And then again, some places, I think the old music industry, and I came from that era also as a band guy, and I feel like that industry was very tied to scenes and very tied to local economies of music. And maybe Austin is less so much now. And it's just a cool place to live. And you can come from there and not play a lot there. But maybe when you play like a local show or a release show at some point, that'll be like, oh, everyone will come out because we don't play much in our own town anymore.
Even though South by is not very fun for those who live here, it was but a week or two after this last South by where there was a news headline, local news, where it's like considering not even having music next year. So that's kind of where things are going. Music will always be here, and I'm sure it'll come in waves. But the type of person that has moved here, the money that has come into the city, the tech focus, and all of that, it has shifted things for a lot of artists, and people have moved elsewhere. Even artists who were doing well when we started the band, they've moved to also expensive cities, but the LA's out there and other places. Sometimes people don't stay in Austin for longer than 5-10 years.
See also gentrification albums 1 through 5. Releases, EPs. Just wild. And I saw the same thing happen in Brooklyn. Bands would move to Brooklyn. They don't want to really be from Brooklyn, but they want to say they came from Brooklyn. So they moved as a band to Brooklyn. Then they found out how hard it is to live in New York. And then I moved from New York. I was like, forget this. I'm going to move to the West Coast. And come out here and it's about the same. So, just less humans. Yeah, I live in San Francisco. Less humans humaning. So I like that the most. Even though I'm an East Coast guy predominantly my whole life. But it's out here now.
That's kind of like out of the the pan and into the fire, like from Brooklyn to San Francisco, as far as rent goes, though, right?
Yeah, it's not great. I'm just lucky. I've gotten lucky in my life, but it's tough. And I came here with like a big tech job that I don't have anymore.
It's funny. Leo and I didn't move to Texas to say we were from Texas, but we met in Fort Myers, Florida. And I must say it was always cooler to say we're a band from Austin, Texas, rather than Fort Myers, Florida, where no one goes or has heard of.
I don't know how cool it is anymore, though.
Yeah, I only know Fort
Yeah,
Myers
yeah.
is like a baseball spring training city if you're a sports person. So like I have no connection to
It's
most
got
of
the
Florida.
it's got the Edison Ford summer home estates. People get married out there. People go there to die and look at the beaches.
Yeah, it's got the Lani Kai Resort on the beach for spring breakers, which is always
Oh,
you
there
know,
it is. There it is.
not much else.
So going into dry drunk, let's take each of these for a second separately before we bring it back. I don't know which did you conceive of these together? Or did you write them separately? Dry drunk definitely feels like a very a completely cohesive. They're both very like their own thing, but I love that dry drunk is so just like double triple down on everything I've ever loved about the group. So I love how abrasive it is and raw. And I do like that it's experimental. For me, that tickles all my weird avant-garde funny bones that I've always had. But, obviously you're the first fan of your new music. So when you make new music, you have to dig it first. So were these both kind of written side by side, one and then the other? And then you decided that we're going to put them out together if we can? How did that come about?
The timeline here is tricky. We Dry Drunk was definitely first, and that I started demos for that at the start of 2020. We had just gotten off tour with Portrayal of Guilt, some local friends, and then of course the pandemic hit. Everybody was in lockdown. Leo and I were in this crappy, crazy house in East Austin. And I just set about writing as much as I possibly could, making the best of it. And I wrote up to like 30 demos or so up until I want to say July, maybe a bit longer. And then a necessary break happened, and those were shelved for a minute. And when Leo and I started talking again, the first thing we did was talk about those tracks. He was set on finishing them, and I thought we were going to scrap them because I had, in terms of creating music and looking into new techniques and being a electronic producer of sorts, I had developed. And so listening to that, the demos from there, I would have reworked them in a way that might have been taxing. So Leo posed this deal. He's like, he had gotten in contact with Ben Chisholm of Chelsea Wolfe, and our arrangement here was, why don't we collect the best demos we can out of this and the ones that seem the most finished and send them over to him and have him work his magic. He's an excellent producer. He works with a lot of bands, and take my hands off reworking those. And after that, we ended up talking about working on some pop tracks, and I started creating demos for those. So that's quite a bit later, though. That's like, when did we officially start those, Leo? Like 2022. It was maybe a little bit before the Health tour, but definitely after we toured with Health.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the Health tour, and then like conceptualizing it definitely during. And we might have had a demo or two before the Health tour, but once we got back, that's when we kind of it really started to kind of materialize.
Yeah, and it was a learning curve for me. I had never made music like that, so I had to up my skills and started listening to a lot more, trying to find electronic music that would inspire me for the sound design, picking a little this and that and moving forward with that. And at some point we pitched it to Ben, like, hey, how would you feel about working on this with us, like collaborating in a sense? Maybe some tracks, I send you the sessions, you work in the session, send it back to me, and essentially end up producing both albums. But it was one after the other. Yeah. And then at some point Ben was putting final touches on Dry Drunk, and we're still working on Full Color, and they sort of started meeting each other in the middle. But definitely we were still working on Full Color for quite a bit after Dry Drunk was finished. Did I answer all the questions?
Yeah, that was great. You guys are incredible. I need this kind of vibe from everybody. Everybody watching this. This is what you should do when you interview a band. They should be prepared. It's hard to talk about art, and I sometimes ask double barrel questions, so I'm trying to up my game all the time too. I've been doing this a long time, but what I love about the Street Sects album is, like, again, it's a whole new palette of sound. It's still you. It's still the both of you, but it's got this incredible sound. And I love Ben's work, by the way. I'm also a huge Chelsea Wolfe fan. It's funny that she's hitting like anniversaries now of like her best music that would be like closely associated with what this is. and then she's kind of moved on to some other things and still kind of doing some of her older material still, but it's kind of fun that it's like 10 12 years of these couple of records she did where she leaned hard into that, and I saw her tour with Youth Code, and I saw her and it was like, oh, this is cool. And then she took a left turn, as you were wont to do as an artist, which is amazing. But I love the Sects album because it's also like a whole different thing. So I imagine you were like, do you change your own listening habits? Like, oh, I'm going to go down this road. Maybe I should pull some references and listen to some similar artists. Was there anybody, did you just make the music you weren't hearing from yourselves in another way? Did you hear it from someone else and be like, oh, I would like to do something like that someday? That would be fun.
Well, just to back it up a bit, I just want to say I appreciate that you hear cohesiveness in Dry Drunk, because when we were working on the demos, our intention was to make a spiritual sequel to In Position. So that was the intention. And when I handed those over to Ben, and some of it came back my way, he was doing mixes of what was there, and on occasion I was adding things, and then later I added the interludes. Those would be the newest additions to that album. So the interludes were written like years later, and again to match it with In Position, we have those interludes so that it's an album flow. We're of a certain age where we want to hear that, we want to go on that oral journey, So that's part of that. For Full Color on the writing, there's so many ways to look at that. On the one hand, I always listen to music in that way, listening to something for its production and then switching it up and listening to it as a song. I'm primarily interested in sound design. You can hear it in Street Sects, just stuff being crammed in there. Sometimes you may think there's no pattern, but there's always a pattern to a lot of it. It maybe is a bit crunchy in the mix at the end, but definitely always a puzzle solved. But for Full Color, there had to be a balance. Like I'm very much interested in instrumental electronic music, but I can't just pursue that because we have a vocal in it. And Leo, with this project, we're trying to write songs. It wasn't necessarily we're trying to chase down even electronic music. This first batch definitely leans on electronic and even goes into dance territory. I think there's some tracks, when people hear the album in full, they'll hear that it doesn't necessarily follow these couple singles that we've put out. Turn Blue has that a bit of that anthemic, raging electronic sound, but there's a little bit else. There are other avenues on the album, and so there was some back and forth. I just didn't. Lots of new things to learn in writing a new genre and taking on different things. So in some pieces, I started with just melody. In some pieces, I started with just drums, and it would change what came after. In terms of music I was listening to, I mean, I definitely was listening to some sound design guys, listening to Floating Points, listening to that mixtape by Flume. Hi, this is Flume, I believe. Just excellent. I really love Ilangelo, who worked with The Weeknd on a few albums, and he put out, a lot of people don't talk about his solo work, but he had this EP he put out called State of Mind, and I listened to it over and again, and just found that very, very inspiring. And I can't pick a point in Full Color where these records came out, but it trickles down to some degree. But I was definitely listening for how can I insert myself into pop electronic music as best as I can. That was my end of it. It was always very cool to send something that is unusual for us over to Leo and hear a demo vocal come back on it and just see what he was going to do, because it was a new canvas.
Right on. And along those same lines for you, Leo, was this freeing for you? I'm going to go pursue a whole nother avenue, a lane of my talent uncharted yet. Did you get to how did it feel opening up for you to get those tracks and then send them back with your, a guide vocal or a finished vocal even?
Yeah, it was absolutely freeing. It was it's something that, I've been wanting to do for a while because, Shaun and I have been playing in bands together for about 20 to 25 years. And, before we started Street Sects, we played in a lot of kind of guitar driven pop stuff, kind of stuff like we were big fans like the Smiths and Pulp, Suede, and kind of more of that kind of sleazy, jangly, kind of up-tempo, but melancholic pop kind of stuff. And it wasn't until Street Sects that we actually started playing aggressive music together. I'd played in some hardcore bands before Shaun and I started playing, but him and I had primarily done melodic type of stuff. And, you know, we both love that kind of, we both loved listening to that kind of music, and we loved writing it together back then. But there just really wasn't like a clear window to be able to explore that fully in Street Sects without making it sound like a different band. And so really kind of like the only way to do that was to make it a different band. And so for me, thematically, like the Street Sects material is extremely dark. You know, I mean, writing lyrics to that kind of stuff, it you know, it's in order for me to write honestly, which is what I always try to do. Like I have to kind of put my, you know, my thoughts and my memories and my imagination into some pretty dark places. And while that's not, you know, it's not like I'm living through that while I'm writing an album, it still can be kind of not like the most fun process, you know, screaming and you know, you're trying to write a dark song and you've got to pull from a dark place, and being able to do this pop stuff, it's like, these are pop songs, you know, or they're our attempt at pop songs. I mean, calling something pop is kind of presumptuous because pop is actually extremely difficult to do well. But this is our attempt at like more traditional types of songcraft. So for me, it was kind of like, the only rule I gave myself was like, whatever's on my mind, whatever I'm feeling at the moment, whatever the music that Shaun is writing makes me feel, I'm just going to write from that place. And it doesn't have to fit within this pre-established, you know, nihilistic dark world of Street Sects. So yeah, it was great. You know, it was a great process.
Right on. And as always, a band that has their, you know, very good grounding on a visual style. I love the two album artworks and how, you know, they both represent, you know, each project, and the music video was quite the same. It was really well done. So I would love to, you know, hopefully get more of that, you know, whether it's, you know, this would lend itself, I know financially, I don't know, but I know either of these albums would lend itself to, you know, an animated movie or even a short film or a longer form, you know, version of each, some kind of storytelling, visual, graphic, anything. Because I feel like you've always had your, you know, thumbs on that very well.
Thank you. Yeah, we'd love to. I mean, we wanted to do an animated video for the longest time. But as you said, like we just never had the budget for it, and kind of had to kind of set that aside and kind of plan like, okay, you know, now's the time if we're gonna spend money on something. When you got 2 records coming out, like now's the time to do it, and we're super excited we finally got to do that animated video with Ben Clarkson is an animator out of Canada who did the video, and yeah, he did a fantastic job, and you know, he did his own. It's very much like recognizable as his own animation. Like if you go to his website or look at some of his comics, like it's very much his style, but he kept it within like the, you know, the pre-established Street Sex world with like Lizzie and the themes of the album. So yeah, couldn't be happier with that animated video. But as far as when we can do something like that again next, let's hopefully sooner rather than later.
You know? Right on. And so as we wind this down, and I want to give you back the rest of your days, you have this big tour coming up with Youth Code and King Yosef, and anything else sort of in the works that we can look forward to later in the year or next year, like you said?
Not yet. Unless you can think of something, Leo. Do we have anything?
You mean we got 2 records coming out next Friday. We got a tour starting next Saturday. That's pretty much, yeah, that's we got a lot on our plate right now, but I know Shaun's working on demos for the next pop record. But as far as when any of that stuff will materialize, I mean, you know, not too soon. But right now, yeah, we're definitely staying busy with what we got in front of us. And yeah, I think that's it for now.
It's interesting to think about the future. I've been at our practice space here putting together sounds for tour since about 9 a.m. Been putting in a lot of those days as we're getting closer to this tour, and balancing it with a day job. But not today. We requested some time off for this tour. So finally getting to settle in and do some long hours. But I have been here for a while, so we're completely immersed in the present. Though I would love to get back to some of those demos. There's something about just coming toward the end of a record. It's good to close it off, but then to not stop, to keep going while there's gasoline on it, you know, on the creative impulse.
Right on. I love to hear it. Keep it going for sure. I like to end these interviews with a wild card question. So I was going to ask either of you.
My Wi-Fi is cutting out. Wait a minute.
Get put on the spot sometimes. But yeah, this is something I copied from somebody much better than I. So I like to ask people a wild card question in these interviews. And so the one I have for each of you is, what is the last good movie you each saw?
This is an easy one for me. I went to the theater the other day and saw that new horror movie, Weapons, the Zach Kreger movie. I was a big fan of Barbarian, his first movie. I thought it was like one of the more original horror films to come out in years. And this new one he did, Weapons, I think kind of improved upon it in every way. It was the best movie I've seen in theaters all year, and I can't recommend that movie highly enough. Excellent movie.
Leo, keep talking about it. I'm trying
to. Could be anything. Doesn't have to be at the movies. Could be, something you watched.
For any of your listeners out there who haven't seen the movie yet, like it's a movie you want to go in cold. You don't want to know too much about it, so I'm not going to say too much about it because it's got a lot of really great like wild turns and surprises in the movie, which are to me the best kind of movies.
I also heard good things about that movie, so I will check it out.
The last good movie I saw was A Ghost Story with Casey Affleck. Yeah, that was a real tearjerker. There were elements of it at the start that I didn't, that were kind of pushing me away, but by the end of it, it was pretty brutal, pretty emotionally devastating. I don't know how to give an overview of that necessarily, but I recommend people check that out. It definitely is eye-opening.
That one has Will Oldham in it too, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, he's part of a party scene. Yeah, that was a surprise. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Nice work. All right, good job. I mean, I'm not sure what your trepidation was, Shaun. Good job there. And Leo, thank you guys so much. So nice to meet you and hash it out with you and talk about. Yeah, so cool to talk about these two new records. Congratulations. Both these records are coming out from Compulsion Records real soon. This will come out sometime after. Good luck on the tour. Be safe, as I always say to everybody. And we'll do it again sometime. Thanks so much for hanging out with Ghost Cult.
Thank you so much.